All right, so let's talk about this last story here, because Star Wars is always an interesting subject matter to discuss. And look for an exclusive Star Wars podcast coming out from me here pretty soon. But what we have here is Rogue One scribe defends The Last Jedi. I don't like it when anyone defends The Last Jedi, right? I just don't. I just really don't. I mean, what's there to defend? Now, if you're talking from a production standpoint, like cinematography and graphics and sound design, oh yeah, no, you defend all that you want, totally. But this is the scribe of Rogue One. This is the writer of Rogue One, and Daddy don't like that. It says here that when Christopher McQuarrie stepped in to defend filmmaker friend Rian Johnson over his decisions regarding The Last Jedi, the Mission Impossible Helmer was subjected to a fraction of the regular online abuse and hatred that Johnson has been on the receiving end since The Last Jedi. There was all those articles that came out saying that Christopher McQuarrie doesn't want to direct a Star Wars movie because of the crap that Rian Johnson's gotten. But anyone who's seen Mission Impossible Rogue Nation and Mission Impossible Fallout can tell you that Christopher McQuarrie can actually write and direct a good movie. So, there's that, right? Now what we have here is Rogue One, a Star Wars story scribe Gary Whitta has now bravely stood up to that toxic element of Star Wars fandom to speak in Johnson's defense. Whitta is quite intimately familiar with The Last Jedi, as he is writing the comic book adaptation of the film. Well, this is what? Okay, so haven't they already retconned some shit in that too? I need to review. I need to read and review those. Let's see here. Okay, so speaking with Jedi News, he says he probably would have written a very different and more predictable film than Johnson did, but it would not have been better. That is an outright lie. If you were writing a different and more predictable film, it probably would have been better. Now, yeah, okay, hold on. I mean, I get it. I understand the concept here, the idea of, The Force Awakens was a little bit too predictable. It felt a little bit too much in line with The New Hope, and then here comes The Last Jedi, and it subverted all expectations. And that's what, it is. It's kind of like the pendulum swinging to the extreme of the other side. I get that. But there's nothing really wrong with having a film be relatively predictable in areas. We see so many movies that we kind of subconsciously catalog a lot of these things anyway. And writers watch so many movies and are involved in so many projects that they subconsciously add these little things in there that everyone picks up on. But the thing is, there's nothing wrong with it being predictable, provided it's fun. That was the one thing The Last Jedi was fun. It was not a fun movie. Did anyone have fun in Canto Bight? I wanted to commit seppuku with a fucking frisbee. Every time I think about that scene, I'm like, And then I'm also like, yeah, but you left children to rot, you bastard. Floppy your dog horses. They're cool. Let them go. But the children, nah, let them to be. Leave them to be, mistreated, beaten, potentially raped. Just saying. Rose Tico, complicit. She's complicit. Anyway, this is what he says. He says, look, I would not necessarily have made every choice that Rian made because I'm not the same person or writer or fan that he is. That's debatable. But I respect and admire and appreciate and support every choice he did make. The film he wrote is far braver and more mature and more challenging than I could have ever written. But just because something you call something mature and challenging doesn't mean that it's doing it in the right ways. It could be a mature movie, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think people wanted it to be a mature movie. I think people wanted it to feel kind of in line with Attack of the Clones, because Attack of the Clones, let's be fair, was mature at the time. But then, of course, the youngling thing and Revenge of the Sith kind of blew all that out of the damn water, right? It's like, oh, hey, Anakin, you killing Tusken Raiders? That's fine. Women, children, it's fine. No one cares. They're dirty sand people. No one cares, right? Did you lay their bodies in a line so no one could see how many you killed? But then he goes and he kills children and everyone loses their shit. I'm just saying, it was a bit more on the mature end, the dark end, and people like that. People can respect that. But when you write a story like this, you want to have it be challenging but also engaging, and that's what it lacked was engagement, right? That was the biggest problem, the narrative problem with this movie. Now he says, I suspect I would have written a more fan service driven film that would have appeased some of the noisy minority. But ultimately would have been a lesser and less important film because of it. Frankly, I love it when they say, frankly, I'm disgusted by the treatment that Rian has received. He's not just one of the most talented filmmakers working today, but one of the nicest people you could ever hope to meet in any walk of life. Both he and the film he made deserve far better. Hold on a second. Okay, sorry, I had to vomit that out of my mouth because that was just like stupid. With the graphic novel adaptation, Whitta says he was able to do things I wanted to see, but without having to upend any of Rian's intents. Okay. All right. So this means certain scenes are seen from a different point of view, while he was able to include internal dialogue from Luke, which further goes into his regrets, his strained relationship with the Force, and his isolated existence. So can we sit here and agree that that basically Gary Whitta is basically subverting The Last Jedi, right? Is that what he's saying here? Like he's like, I mean, I'm able to like do things like that, Rian, that like without really upending any of his intent. But I'm able to give people what they want, which is fucking context, or character development. Jesus. See, this actually makes me want to go and read it now, because if it adds more context, maybe then we'll have a better fundamental understanding of what the movie could have been. Never mind the fact that the book, the novelization, did a couple things differently than than everything else. They added DLC basically to the novelization in order to flesh out certain scenes, and it appears that the graphic novel version of this is also doing the same thing. So what you have here is you have the novelization of The Last Jedi trying to fix what Rian Johnson fucked up, and then you've got the graphic novel version of it that's still trying to fix things that he fucked up. That's pretty bad. Oh my God! Wow. Yeah. Listen, man. I understand why Gary Whitta wants to defend Rian. I get that. I do. They're part of the same tribe. They're going to protect their friends. I understand that completely. I get it. I understand it. It's fine. What I find to be very funny, though, is the fact that he's basically like, Rian did this really like intellectually mature and dark film, okay? And like, I mean, it was a really awesome movie. But, and then he gets to go and add what he wants to add to it. So you could tell right there through the dialogue that like he is, if not consciously, then definitely subconsciously, taking what he's doing in this graphic novel and he's going to make it a fan service. He's literally retconning it in order to be a fan service. I got to go read these now. I don't know how. I know they came out like I think a couple months ago. I think it's like a six issue run. I think they're coming up on like issue 4 or 5 or something like that, which would make sense, I think. And I need to give it a go. I need to give it a read and then review them here for the channel. But that's where we are now. They're trying to retcon The Last Jedi and it's still not going to fix the movie. So come back when you add these scenes in the movie. If you enjoyed this video, please consider becoming a patron today for just $1 per month over at patreon.com/mundanematt.